Good morning, guys. It's a really beautiful day here. The sun is out. We've had some rains and the sun hasn't been shining like it's shining today. On days like this, I love to step out and do some work in my home. I have different varieties of bananas in my garden, but I found something that I don't have, so I brought one of those trees with me, which I'll be planting later on this week. One really needs to dig a big wide hole to plant bananas, which I'm not ready to do today. So I'm just gonna keep it in a cool place, and later this week I'll be planting it. And I will share that with you because I know many of you don't know how to plant banana trees. Or if you do it wrongly. So I'll share our way of planting bananas for the best yield. I've been trying to grow my homestead by bringing in different animals. So far, I've brought chickens and the sheep. I like to take some time to bond with them every time I come here, and I just love how they respond to the touch. As much as they don't talk, there's this I miss you look that they give every time I come. The young one is growing pretty fast. It's hard to believe he was born just the other day. I had this palm tree that was growing so tall that it was about to touch the power line. I cut it down a few days ago. I actually didn't cut it down, but I trimmed it. So the leaves are dry, but I'd rather burn them than keep them in the compost. That's because they have these very hard thorns that will take a lifetime to decompose. So I think the best thing to do is just to burn them. They're also quite dangerous. I got a prick from one of them the other day, and that was the most painful prick I've ever had in my life. So as much as I'm trying to accumulate enough compost for my upcoming raised beds, I have no choice but to burn these ones down. My property is a homestead in the making, so there's always lots of work to be done whenever I come here. I'm trying to set up a garden. I'm trying to bring in animals. I have a house that is incomplete. So there's just so much that goes on in here. And I always want to be part of everything. I'm not trying to be mean or overwork myself, but being part of everything just means ending up with something I love. Because when I started this, I had a dream, and I want to see that dream become reality. Our East African climate doesn't have the four seasons that many people experience, but I believe autumn should be included in our climate because we have this season that the leaves just turn orange or yellow and then they all fall on the ground and the trees are left with bare branches. As soon as the rains start to fall, then the leaves regrow and the trees get their lives back. And I believe that's what autumn is all about. So I'd say we experience autumn too. So the rains are back and the trees have their leaves on again. And I'm collecting all those leaves that fell during that period. And I'm going to use them to mulch my vegetable garden. Not all trees shed their leaves though in that season. Others remain intact throughout the year. In the past I had them raked like every day, but this time I decided to keep them and let them collect so that I can rake them all at once. And now I have lots of dry leaves. These dry leaves, other than mulching our gardens, also enrich the soils very much. So if you have like clay soil like me, then this is really going to improve the soil texture and even the quality of the soil, because when they rot they become manure, or rather compost. So I'm gonna spread them out so they can cover the surface of the soil. Clay soil really gets dry when the sun shines, so this layer of the leaves is going to keep the soil moist throughout. I planted some maize here too, not so much because maize don't do very well in swampy areas like this. So I chose areas that are a bit dry for the maize. And they look amazing. I don't see any pests on them, which is a really good thing for a farmer. I have been harvesting chilies for the past couple of months, and they don't seem to be running out. Every time I come, they are showing off. And others are quite big, the size of my fingers. I honestly didn't believe they could do so well here. This is really amazing. In this little garden of mine, I did not intercrop my maize and beans like in my big farms, but I put them separately. It's just one of those experiments I keep doing here, and the results are amazing. I planted them almost at the same time with the ones I had showed you in the previous video, where I was checking my maize plantation, and these ones look really good, much better than the other ones. The ones I intercropped with the maize had just started flowering, though these ones here already have the pods and the beans in them, which is really shocking because they were planted on more or less the same day. My conclusion is the ones that are intercropped are fighting for the nutrients with the maize, but these ones are on their own. The reason they are growing pretty fast. Our little passion fruit tree is already fruiting. I don't know how many can remember when we planted it. I just gave it a little trellis over here to climb on, and 2 weeks has made quite a big difference. Just the other day I was here, it was just a flower, and now we have fruits. The last time I was here, that's about 10 days ago, we did not have flowers on our tomatoes, but look, now we even have the tomatoes already forming and plenty of flowers on each of the plants. Things like this really make me happy. Some we win, some we lose. Our cabbage are not looking good. By the time I was planting them, they already had some pests, and I thought they would survive, but they don't look good. But I'll just leave them here. I've been putting some ash on them, and I'll just study them and see if they can recover from that. I put this on slow motion so you could see all those birds that are feasting on my chilies. Of course, I love to share my vegetables with the nature around me, but I just hate it when they damage them, just like the birds are doing. They drop so many of them on the ground and they just rot. So I'll just pick out all the ripe ones so they don't continue damaging. I think it's the red color that attracts them to this garden. So once we harvest the red ones, then I believe they will not come. It is a very busy day for me. There's just so much I'm doing today. I just harvested the chilies and the okra, And now I have to turn the compost so that the ones at the top can go down and rot. My compost is not professionally done. What I do is everything that can break down that I collect from the compound, I just dump them in one place and allow them to rot over time. And then I just turn them over from time to time so they can break down. I intend to use this in my garden. I'm planning to make raised beds, and filling up those raised beds is usually not very easy. So that's the reason I'm collecting this compost. And then you can always use compost directly when planting without mixing with soil or anything. So that's the reason I'm collecting all this grass that I cut from the compound, all the food wastes from here, and keeping them here to rot. You can see how the ones at the bottom are broken down and are even ready for use in the garden. My last task of the day is putting up trellis for the tomato plants. They have grown so big that they have fallen on the ground. They are no longer standing upright and they need that support to grow. They've also started fruiting, which means they're going to become very heavy. So they need a very good support to keep them upright and to hold the fruits. So I'm just going to fetch some branches, which I will be using to hold them up. I was in the supermarket yesterday and I saw some really good trellis, ready-made trellis that someone can use to hold their plant up, but I didn't have a budget for that, so I didn't buy them, but I intend to have them here because they're things you can use like forever. I wasn't keen on them, but I think they're made of metal, so I think that can last a really long time, and then you can always transfer them from one patch to the other depending on what you're planting. So that is just one of the gardening things that I've added to my bucket list. In the meantime, these branches are going to really help. For the tree lovers, I'm not cutting down the trees, I'm just collecting branches that seem straight and our trees remain. I love trees too. I love gardening. I love everything to do with flora and fauna, and I wouldn't want to destroy anything, any form of nature around me. So these improvised trellis of mine are quite easy and cheap to use. All you need to do is get some straight branches, push them into the soil, and then all you have to do is tie the plant on them. As you tie up the stem, just make sure you don't damage it. Make it loose so that you don't damage the plant. Some of my sticks are not looking very cute, but I intend to get the real trellis. It's just so amazing how fast vegetables grow. I really don't understand when people in my village don't have vegetables in their gardens, while they are so easy to plant and manage and don't even require so much space. I hate to spend money on things that I can grow myself. And through my experiments, I've just noticed a lot of things can grow on these soils if we are passionate about them, we take care of them. I don't think there's anything that cannot grow anywhere. Sometimes all we have to do is test the soil. I've noticed the tomatoes are looking very good here. I planted tomatoes, the same variety, at my mother's garden, and they didn't do so well. They always died. I think I shared that with you. So I think what was causing them to die was a pest that was in the soil. I will keep experimenting with different vegetables. and I will always share that with you. So far, I'm quite impressed with the outcome of most of the vegetables I've been experimenting with. And although there are a few disappointments, like with the cabbage, I think 90% have done very well. So here's a tip on how to grow healthy tomatoes. I got this from a channel here on YouTube. Most pests and diseases spread from the soil, so what you do is to prune out all the branches that are touching the soil or that are at the lower part of the plant, so that the pests and all the diseases don't spread to the fruit. And that's what I just did. Have I shown you my banana plants lately? I know you've seen enough of these bananas, but they amaze me. Every time I come, they are getting bigger and bigger. This particular tree always gives me the biggest bananas, and I can't help but to show them off a little bit every time I'm here. I hope you don't mind. I know I'll be harvesting these two the next time I'm here. I'm really excited. So one last thing I haven't shown you is my chickens. Look how beautiful and healthy they've grown, and they are giving me lots of eggs every week. I share the eggs with my farmhand, so this is what is left for me, which I'll be carrying home today. I just love that I never leave here empty-handed. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have a comment, please leave it down below. Otherwise, it's bye-bye. I'll see you in the next.